Since the beginning of time, the concept of employment has been in existence. Even dating back to the biblical era, the concept of work and employment can be found in the sacred scriptures. And with technological advancements, the story of employment is evolving. Indeed, the form and nature of work shapes civilization and continues to transform the economic, political, and cultural landscape. For all too long, the people that provide the labor capital for employers have been dismissed, silenced, and oftentimes abused and taken advantage of by systems that work together to oppress. I am attorney LaRonda Nix, and I work for the people. I am a wife, mother, and employment law attorney. I have experienced your pain and litigated your issues. But since I was a youngster, I have been using my voice to fight on behalf of those disenfranchised. This channel is called Bad Business Behavior, and we are the people's BBB.
Hey, what is going on out there? It's a beautiful, lovely Saturday evening somewhere in Metro Atlanta. I am attorney Nix, and this is Bad Business Behavior with attorney Nix, and we are the people's BBB. Okay, so I have another reaction. I am going to be reacting to her name is Miss Dolly, and her channel is Luke and Dolly, and the name of this video is Worst Job I've Ever Had. Let's wait for it, because guess what? She spills the tea, honey. It is the Dollar Tree, and y'all would have guessed it already with them unique green polos, because everybody who knows, they looked at this video, they was like, oh, she talking about Dollar Tree. And yes, she is. So Miss Dolly, she is going to explain some of the working conditions that she experienced while working in a Dollar Tree in South Florida. And as always, please, y'all can go ahead and send us your bad employer experiences, your worst job ever, if you thought you was fired wrong, whatever it is, send it to me. And maybe, you never know, I could react to your video. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into some bad business behavior.
Oh, hello, this is Dolly, and today was my second day at the worst place I have ever worked in my 30 years of living. I'm serious.
Whole 30 years. I just had to say that. When she was like, in my whole 30 years of living, it was just funny to me. I just had to just say that. I'm sorry.
What are you doing? My cat has pica, and she's not supposed to be eating those. They're like sticks, but she eats all kinds of stuff. She eats sticks. She eats plastic. Come here, baby. You know you're not supposed to do that, but she can't help it. Okay. Let's talk about Dollar Tree. Literally the worst place to work, in my opinion, and I'll tell you why.
Drop a clue bomb.
At least the one here in Florida, they have one manager and one associate in the store. So you are checking people out while you're picking things up, while you're putting things away. There's no time to go to the restroom, and there's no time to drink water. Let's talk about the water issue, because that's pretty much my main issue with them. They don't let you have it, and that's not a joke. Hey, Kimmy, thanks for joining. They don't let you have water there. You can have a water bottle and keep it in the manager's office, and you can ask permission to take a sip of your water. That's what I was told.
Okay, so the first thing that I'm thinking is this something that is specific to this particular South Florida Dollar Tree? So, in essence, is it practice and pattern just at this particular Dollar Tree that Miss Daly is not able to drink water, or is this something that is widespread amongst all Dollar Trees, right? Because what we as employment law attorneys start thinking about is the policy, procedure, practice, customs, and things of that sort of the work environment. And first of all, let's just say I'm undecided if I'm going to give it a red flag or if I'm going to give it a because of the fact that it could be a major violation. It could be a major violation for you not to allow your employees to have water accessible to them, and you make them go into the management office in order to drink water. Eh, eh, I don't know. Let's hear what else she has to say.
So my second day, today, my second day, I told the manager when I got there, hey, I was really dehydrated yesterday. What's the policy on water? Can I keep a water bottle down below the register? How does that work? And he told me, no, we cannot have water out on the floor. If you want to sip your water, you can ask permission to come in the office and take a sip. I'm going to ask permission. I'm a 30-year-old woman. I'm not going to ask permission to come in your office and take a sip of my water. I'm sorry. I am so frustrated. I'm frustrated because if he's not at the office, I can't go in there and ask him for a sip of my water. So today I went, 3.5 hours, almost 4 hours without any water. And I felt so bad for the associates that worked there longer. There is a sweet lady, and I will not name her, but she was training me today at the front. She's 67 years old, total sweetheart. I didn't even mention the water thing to her. She mentioned it to me. She said, yeah, I asked if we could have water up here before, but they told me no. 67 years old. You're not going to let her have a drink of water?
Yeah, that's going to be a bad business behavior violation. And let me tell you why. First of all, this is just, my mind is just like, okay, if you are not able to get water, like she said, she has a 67-year-old coworker, so she's insinuating that, she's elderly. I'm not certain whether or not that 67-year-old woman is healthy or active, or if she may be disabled according to the Americans with Disabilities Act. But immediately, we're starting to think about, okay, definitely health issues, potential just of this issues that unfold in a workplace with this no water policy in your immediate area. I don't know, but they're getting the violation for not letting a 67-year-old woman get any water. I mean, like, come on now. What type of policy is this?
She gets there at 8:50 in the morning. She doesn't get to clock out for a break usually until 1 p.m. So let's see. Let's just go 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1. So for 4 hours in the hot, humid southern Florida heat, and the air conditioner doesn't work that great there, by the way, you're not going to let her have any water? And there's only one person working in there, so guess what? If you need to go to the bathroom, you hold it. That's what you do. You hold it.
Hostile work environment, potentially.
I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because people are not getting treated right there. That's not right to tell someone they can't have water, or if they want water, they need to come and ask you permission in their office. I think water should be available to people at all times. We're not slaves, okay? You should be able to go to the restroom and drink water when you'd like. But they're so understaffed and underpaid that they don't let you do that. Now, this job here,
okay.
Now you're working your booty off, okay? You're working your booty off. And guess how much you get paid? $8.80 an hour.
She just said a mouthful right there. She just said a lot. Starting with the most recent thing, $8.80 per hour. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to even comment on the wage, but what I am going to comment on, if your employee is not allowing you to get water, you definitely want to make sure that you send an email to him and place him on notice and say on such and such date, I needed water and blah 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 blah. And I would encourage the other employees to do so as well. And you escalate that email if you see that you are still not able, to get water, because if something does happen, again, you have receipts. That's number one. And number two, another thing that I have noticed is that in the pandemic world, since 2020, since we started opening up stores, when you go into these dollar stores and these different grocery stores, even restaurants, they are severely short staffed. So it's nothing that I noticed that we were just experiencing here locally in Georgia, but apparently it seems like it's something that is impacting the United States, which is probably why nobody wants to go into work. Because when you are at work, you are in essence doing the work now of so many different people, right? So, like she said, it's only two people and you're stocking, you're trying to check the customers out, you're trying to do so many different things at one job. So that is something else to keep in mind for those who are thinking about joining the workforce. And you're in these types of situations where you're dealing with the public. You may be in a situation where the job demand and the stress of the job is going to be very high on you, because in essence it's not you just doing your one job.
Let's just get them out in the open here. The manager, I thought, was initially really nice, and I still think he is a semi-nice person, but some things he did that rubbed me the wrong way that I did not like was there was guests. I call them guests because I used to work at Target. That's what we were trained. They're guests in the store, not customers. They call them customers at Dollar Tree. We call them guests at Target. So I just refer to them as guests because that's what I like. But there's guests in line checking out. The manager walked up with his drink that he can have anytime he wants, got in front of the customer, told them to hold on.
Red flag, because now you are setting up a potential discrimination claim or potential Title VII claim. So the manager, who is a male, presumably, is able to walk around and drink water as he please. So then now they said there's only two people in the store. I don't know if there's two people at the same time. I would imagine that they have more, employees than three people at the dollar store. I mean, that would be a crying damn shame if that was the case. But if there were other male co-workers or employees who were allowed to drink water and they were treated differently, do y'all see where I'm going? That's where you are setting up a potential Title VII sex-based discrimination claim. So you have the old lady, and not the old lady. You have the elderly co-worker, and then you have, Miss Lee there, Miss Lily. That's what I'm gonna call her, Miss Lily. And then they're not able to get water. Let's say other female employees are not able to get water, but the males are. So do you see the disparate treatment? So just again, take note of that. And if you do notice that, you better make sure that you're emailing it and you docking it up the chain of command if need be. Okay.
Hold on. And had the associate ring up his drink in front of the guest. Sorry, but that's not okay with me. That is just not okay. Hey, Amy. I'm just talking about the worst place I've ever worked. And yeah, I left today, obviously, but
she left, honey.
Goodness gracious. Another thing that drove me a little wonky was they'll let you have one 10-minute break if you work up to 5 hours and 59 minutes. If you work 6 hours, you get a lunch, obviously. Okay, so yesterday I'm there, and I'd already asked about the breaks multiple times because I wanted to have some water and eat some food. I'm used to having lunch at noon, okay? And it comes up on 1 o'clock. I'm starting to get really dizzy, really hungry, and really thirsty. And I said, "Hey, is there? How do the breaks work again? I'm wondering. I was wanting to eat some food." And he looked at me point blank and told me that he said the managers decide when you go on break and lunch due to how busy the store is. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. But you're telling me you can't go up to the front and cover for 10 minutes so somebody can go have some water or some food? Is that what you're telling me? Anyway, yeah, it was awful, Amy. It was awful. I'm getting it all out right now. I'm venting, and I want to share with other people how Dollar Tree treats their employees so that they don't work there or maybe not shop there anymore. Because honestly, they need to fix a lot of things. And I know that they're understaffed. I get that, but there's a reason they're understaffed because they're how they're treating their workers. It's really, really, really bad. I felt so bad for this lady, this 67-year-old lady who cannot go to the bathroom or drink water all day. I can't get over it. I really can't stop thinking about it. And she's so pleasant and sweet. It is what it is. It is what it is. Anyway, yesterday, so it's 1 o'clock. He says, "Well, let's try to get you on the computer. And if we can't get you on the computer, then you can go on your 10-minute break." Well, by that time, I'm confused because I only have 2 hours left to work. And I'm supposed to have a lunch and a break, which I've had neither right now. So I said, okay.
Pause. They will try to squeeze every last second out of your life. Do you not realize with the last 3 videos that I reacted to, they're trying to squeeze as much time so that they don't have to pay you a lunch. They're trying to squeeze time so that you can work mandatory overtime. They're trying to squeeze the time in for when they telling you that you're about to be fired, and then the other person that's taking a position is not coming in until the following week. And could you please finish out your shift? Like, they try to squeeze every bit of time, and time is life, right, out of you for their benefit. So I just noted that, and I had to say that.
Tried to get me on the computer. The computer wasn't working. So he said, "Well, you go ahead and take your 10-minute break." And I said, "Okay, well, what about the lunch? Because I'm only here for 2 more hours. So what am I supposed to do?" And he's like, "Well, legally, yeah, if you're here for 6 hours, you have to take a lunch." And I was like, "Okay, so what do you, like, am I supposed to leave early or what?" He was like, "Yeah, we'll have you leave at 5 hours and 59 minutes so we don't have to give you a lunch." Are you kidding me?
Man.
Seriously, you're that cheap? It's an hour, you're going to treat me less than a dog. You're going to tell me I can't have water. I can't go to the bathroom. I got to do all the work of all these people. Like, literally, Amy treats her dog better. Don't you, Amy? Amy loves her dog. Amy's dog is her baby. Anyway, I'm sorry. My cats are scratching on a little scratch post. I'm just frustrated. I wanted to give it a try. I wanted to give it a try because my husband works hard and I wanted to help him out. But this is not the place. This is not the place for anybody. This is not the place. And I hope people see this video and don't work there because it's a bad, bad, bad place to work. At least the one here in South Florida. So anyway, yeah, spent all yesterday dehydrated and sick. Came into work today to give it another shot. I finally, after 3.5, 4 hours, I can't remember how long it was, but I went a long time without water. Finally, the manager came to his office. I knocked on his door and I said, "Hey, I've got to get a drink of my water. I feel like I'm going to pass out. Like, it's hot." And he just kind of brushed it off and was like, "Okay, yeah, well, go ahead and take your 10-minute break if you want." I said, "Okay." So I clocked for my 10-minute break and I left. And that's another thing I don't know if I mentioned in this video. I mentioned in my last, but they give you a 10-minute break, okay? But you can't leave the premises. You can't go outside of the building at all. He said you can sit in the manager's room or you can sit in the back room. They don't have a break room. They have a bunch of boxes stocked up, a little computer, and they don't have a refrigerator either for your lunch because, well, they don't really want you to take lunch, do they? So they have a little mini fridge in a box that they never set up. And yeah. I'd say it's cruel work environment is what I would say, just to be completely honest.
So she was trying to say what we were talking about earlier, hostile work environment. And again, in order to allege an hostile work environment, allegation, in order to maintain it, your Title VII, you have to, if you, the Title VII is your anchor claim. So the Title VII claims, again, your federally protected classes, and then what anchors on would be a hostile work environment claim under whichever claim it is that you choose to allege, or whatever claims that you choose to allege. So, a hostile work environment, again, what she's saying is she wasn't able to go to the bathroom. She wasn't able to drink water. They were denying her her breaks. They were trying to short her on her lunches. And meanwhile, the male employer was able to engage in the activities that they restricted this other class of women to be able to participate in. So, what she was saying, what she's trying to allege, is that the conditions of her work appeared to be a hostile work environment. But she has to allege one of them anchor claims. So let's see what she's going to talk about and say.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys letting me vent because I just needed to get that out. I went to see Luke on lunch, and I was like, "I'm coming to see you." No, I showed up with my little badge on, and he ripped it off and threw it in the back seat. He's like, "I can't even believe you went back today." I'm like, "Well, I wanted to give it a fair shot, but I can't go 4 hours without water in the hot, humid Florida weather. Like, I just can't do that. That's not me." I came to see him, and they had made some lemonade for the guys up there, so
Is that really
he shared with me, and
lemonade?
it's so good. He works at a really good place, makes really good money. But that's my experience with Dollar Tree. Another thing that really rubbed me the wrong way. I'm trying to think of all of the things that were there because there was just so much. When I first went to, okay, so usually, and I don't know if every place is like this, but when I worked at Target, that's what I'll compare it to because that's where I worked for the longest. So you go in and you clock in and you get paid for your training and you get paid for, filling out all your paperwork and everything. Well, before I even started there, they sent me paperwork to fill out that took me about an hour, I think, to read through and fill everything out. So that was an hour they got out of me for free. And I actually never went through the training because they could never get me on the computer screen. So I never went through the computer training. And they were going to put me on a cash register anyway,
Of course.
even though I never went through the training.
So again, another consistent theme is a theme of deficient training by the employer, right? So if the employer now wants to say, "Oh well, we didn't terminate her because she was a woman," or whatever have you the case may be, or if she has a disability that maybe I'm not even akin to or aware of, so they say, "Oh well, no." When let me back this up. When an employee sues or files a claim against an employer based on Title VII, it's up to the employer to say, "Well, no, we didn't terminate her because of the fact that she was a woman or whatever have you. We terminated her because of her job her job performance was poor. So she was going to get terminated, even if she didn't file this lawsuit." That's basically what they would be saying. And I don't know why I had that voice or whatever. Like, I just made that voice. So I'm mentioning training because I notice in a lot of my suits or cases that I have, that is one of the key issues where your training is not is not done properly. The city. Look, I was about to name drop. The employer may have tried to set up computer systems where you could work from home during a pandemic, which a lot of employers did, and they could never get it right. The technology was wrong, and this and this and this, and this person didn't know how to train me, or we didn't have compatible systems. So in this instance, I mean, she was working in Dollar Tree, but I'm just saying, I'm just trying to change the context a little so that y'all could understand how this deficient training allegation could come about in different work circumstances and environments. So in Dollar Tree with her, she said that, "Oh well, I never did train." So they can't then say, "Oh well, she didn't do good at her job because she didn't know how to do this particular systems And the systems that she had to learn how to do, y'all didn't train her on. So, just a side note.
But oh, and another thing was when I was filling out all that paperwork, they had this thing called an arbitration agreement. If you'd never heard of it, I will explain to you a little bit. I'm no lawyer, no expert, but this
But
is
I
just
am.
what I know from the little bit of research I did the other day before I signed it. So basically, if something happens at your workplace, and apparently this is getting really popular with companies to do now in the United States, some places will have you sign an arbitration agreement, which means that if any conflict arises at work, maybe, I don't know, you were sexually harassed or there is some discrimination going on or anything like that. Spy's getting in my lunch bag. Get out of there, baby. Then you will have their mediators handle it. Spy, get out of there, baby. Come on,
Okay.
go.
So let her help. She got to deal with the kitty cat, her cat. So basically, and I'm litigating the case like this again. Yes, she is correct to notice and do her research that arbitration agreements are very, very common. Basically, in short, it prevents you from filing claims that you may have against the employer in court, whether it be state court or federal court. So these arbitration agreements, and I'll show you a copy of one right here. Your company is going to want to have you get out of court. Why? Why would your company not want you to be able to go to court? Because your damages are even more limited when you mediate or when you go through arbitration. And another thing is too, you have to look at these arbitration clauses found within your contract or your onboarding documents that you sign, because the decision by the arbitrator or the mediator sometimes, well, it's not sometimes, it is binding, meaning that you can no longer, after it's done, if you don't like the decision, you can't go to court and challenge that decision. Now, what is a litigatable issue is the enforceability of an arbitration clause. But that's something that's a whole different issue. It's typically litigated in federal courts. But be that as it may, you may want to check to see if you have an arbitration agreement, because a lot of times there is a clause that allows you to get up out of that agreement. And what happens is when you're excited about the job and you're wanting to work, you don't even think about art. Like, who the hell thinks about filing a lawsuit or potentially working in a bad environment and thinking about arbitration? Nobody, right? But in this the wild wild west, you got these bad businesses and their bad behavior, and they do have at least 2 strikes right now, I'm gonna tell you. Okay. But you may want to look at the arbitration agreement and you may want to make sure that you opt out of it. So therefore, if there are claims that you want to assert against your employer, then you are able to file them in the court or forum of your choice instead of what the employer dictates.
And basically hang on, sorry, my cat. Get on, baby, I'm trying to make a video. You'll have their people handle it. So somebody comes in and they figure out what's going on. It basically keeps the company from going through a lawsuit because you are waiving your rights to be seen by a jury or go to trial. But the fact of the matter is, if you don't sign this, they won't hire you. And there's a lot of new places I've seen that they're actually starting these arbitration agreements while you're already working there. So if you don't sign it, then they fire you. So you're basically like, yeah, you have somebody looking at it, but let's say that the mediator, the person
if
who
you
is
were fired if you were terminated because you refused to sign an arbitration agreement, I would definitely question the legality of that. But then at the same time, you really have to look at what state that you're living in. Georgia, Florida, you have a lot of states that are what are called work right to work states or at will employment. Georgia is an at will employment state, which means that the employer can fire you for any reason except for again your protected class reasons. So if you depend, and in some states you have unions. Some states, employment just works a little differently. So you definitely would want to investigate if you're just terminated because you didn't want to sign a arbitration agreement and they just sort of sprung it on you after you've been working there for a period of time. Then I definitely would consider just investigating other factors that may be red flags to you, to determine whether or not you may want to consult an attorney, because that to me would be odd. Depending on again on the facts, we always have to do this as an attorneys because you know facts really make or break a case. But again, if you're just fired out the blue because you didn't want to sign an arbitration agreement, yeah.
And I'm sure I'm not using the correct terminology. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But basically, if that mediator, that person does not understand the law correctly or they misinterpret it for some reason, it doesn't matter. It's what they say, and that is final. It will not go to court. Nothing will happen. You're waiving your rights. So if you can, don't work at a place that makes you sign an arbitration agreement, in my personal opinion. Like I said, I'm no lawyer, I'm no advisor, but I'm going to look for places that don't have an arbitration agreement because I think it's bullshit. So that's all I got to say. And it's Friday. Oh, hey, Crystal. But thank you guys so much for listening to me. It makes me feel better to get it out. And hopefully someone will watch this video and not work at the Dollar Tree because it was the worst place I've ever worked. And that's that. I'm gonna leave that here. Amy, I wanted to thank you for tagging me in that video and let you.
So Dollar Tree, why y'all ain't letting y'all folks get no water? Like, what's going on with that? Like, what's up with that? Like, and I think I was saying this almost like undercover boss, like where sometimes there's a disconnect between corporate versus what's really going on, in the working fields. Because I'm almost positive that the executives at Dollar Tree don't know that their employees that's being denied water. So when it comes to situations like that, what I would do is escalate it, because again, I don't know if this is an isolated issue at this particular Dollar Tree or if it's a widespread pattern amongst several Dollar Trees. But people, please make sure that you document. That's our golden rule. And then for issues like that, when you're being denied certain accommodations that are pretty standard and typical in working environment, lunch breaks, going to the bathroom, water, like those are Maslow's needs, dude. Like that's like the bottom rung. That's something that those executives and CEOs need to be, placed on notice about. So you guys make sure that y'all get y'all stuff, y'all start emailing, y'all keep y'all evidence and things of that sort just in case something goes awry and left. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. For more amazing reactions and content and amazing stuff, please remember to check out my page, like, share, subscribe, and all that stuff. Good evening. Bad business behavior. Major.